Everyone, I'm John Ward. I'm a web developer here with teamtutorials.com. I've been writing tutorials here for a few years now. This is my first video tutorial, so you're gonna have to bear with me. This is my first time recording. Hopefully the video and the audio, everything works out okay. Today, we're going to talk about how to set up a local development environment for WordPress. So we're going to back up our production WordPress website into our local environment so that we can do development work, make changes, install plugins, do development, test everything before we make changes in our production environment so we don't break anything. So for this tutorial, you're going to need a local desktop. We're going to be using Mac or Windows. In my case, I use a Mac. If you're following along with Windows, I give alternatives to the tools that I use on Mac for Windows. And if you take a look at the teamtutorials.com, the text tutorial, you'll see that I give some alternatives in there that you can use for Windows. There might be a couple things that you need to change on Windows to find out like where a preferences pane is or something like that, but you should be able to figure it out. If you have a hard time, leave a comment. We'll try to help you out. We're going to assume that you already have a live WordPress website up. We're going to assume that your host uses cPanel control panel. It's really helpful if you do have cPanel to be able to follow this tutorial, but if you don't have cPanel on your web host, all you have to do is you have to know how to be able to back up your public HTML directory using FTP or SSH, and you need to be able to generate a backup of your database in a SQL file format. You might be able to do that with something like phpMyAdmin, or you could do it from the command line probably if you're more savvy than I am with the command line. The other thing you need is a local SQL client. What I'm going to use on Mac is called SQL Pro, but if you're on Windows, there's one called Heidi SQL that's very good. It's a free piece of software. You can go ahead and download that for Windows. All right. So first thing we're going to do is go out and download MAMP. And MAMP is a piece of software that allows you to run Apache, MySQL, and PHP locally on your desktop. And like I said, you can do this both on Mac and on Windows. So what we are going to do is we're going to download MAMP for Mac in my case. And I'm going to go ahead and let that download. When it downloads, I'm going to open it and I'm going to install the MAMP package. It's a really nice piece of software. It's pretty simple to use, so hopefully you guys like it. I'm going to go through the installer here. It's really simple. There's not really anything you need to do. Just click continue. I'm going to accept the license agreement, and then it's going to install. The installer, it takes a little bit of time to install. So basically, MAMP will install Apache, MySQL, and PHP, give you a really easy to use interface to start that software so that you don't have to go through and do it all via command line. And it will give you a nice start page that gives you information about your server and stuff like that. Also set up a directory where you can put your files in and serve them to your local host. It's going to set up default ports and things like that. We're just going to go ahead and leave them default. And we will, like for your web host, your default port will be 8888. And your default MySQL port will be 8889. Now, if you want to, you can change those to the defaults of like port 80 and 3306. But in my case, on my development environment, I like to leave those in the defaults of 8888. All right, so as we can see, the MAMP install has finished. I'm going to go ahead and close it, move it to the trash. I'm going to go into my applications, and I'm going to see two different applications in here. I'm going to see MAMP in this folder, which is the standard MAMP, no frills, basic server, and I'm going to see MAMP Pro. Now, MAMP Pro is a nice piece of software if you're going to do a lot of different local development. It gives you the ability to handle multiple different sites, different databases, stuff like that, different host names. So if you're going to do a lot of local development, maybe you're going to want to check out MAMP Pro, but for the sake of this tutorial, we're going to use MAMP. So I'm going to go into that folder. I'm going to launch the standard MAMP. It's going to give you this ad. I'm going to turn it off and close it. But it gives you like the ability to host MAMP locally and do um, look at it on your mobile device so that you can do debugging on your mobile device. So what it's going to do is it's going to launch. It's starting the servers because I set it to start servers on launch. But if you don't have that set, you're going to want to click start servers here. And then it's going to launch this main page, which is your overview page for the MAMP server. It gives you some information about your website, some tools, some more information about MAMP Pro and the other offerings that the MAMP people have. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back into the MAMP tool. I'm going to go up here and go to MAMP Preferences. If you're on Windows, it's probably going to be File Preferences or something like that. Here is the overview. So you can see I started the servers with the software, so you can check that box to do that. You can look at your ports. This is where you can change your ports to the MAMP default, which is 8888 and 8889, or you could set them to the actual default ports, what you would see on the web, which is 80 and 3306. I'm going to leave them at the MAMP defaults. You can take a look at PHP. There's 2 different versions of PHP that you could choose within MAMP. I'm going to leave it at the default. And what we're going to look at is web server. You have the choice of Apache or Nginx. I guess if you're using Nginx in production, you're going to want to pick Nginx here. I'm using Apache, so I'm going to leave it at the default of Apache. And the next thing you want to take note of is this document root. It's going to be set to something. I'm not sure what it would be on Windows, but mine was downloads on Mac. So what you want to do is you want to select a folder that you will remember. And for me, it's going to be my home directory sites, and I'm going to select that. Then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to launch that in my Finder, and I'm going to go into that sites directory. I'm going to leave this open because we're going to need it later. But this is basically the folder where you will store all of your files for your website and your WordPress installation. So we'll keep that open for now, and we'll move on to the next step of the tutorial, which is backing up your data. So to do this, we're going to log into cPanel. And like I said, you can do this without cPanel, but you're going to be on your own for that. I am using Cloudflare, so I have a special subdomain for cPanel. And I'm going to go there. But if you're not using it, you're probably just going to go to your website, port 2082, and you're going to log in. So I have updated to the newest version of cPanel earlier, so this should be the latest UI that you will see. And if you're on an older version, don't worry. All we're going to do is look for this backup link, which is the same in both versions. So I'm going to click on backup. Now for this page, you can do a full backup. It backs up a lot more than we actually need for this tutorial. So I'm going to skip that. I'm going to scroll down here to where it says download a home directory backup. And I'm going to click home directory. That's going to launch a download of all of our files that are on the file system of our server. You know, all of our WordPress installation files, or WP content folder, all our themes, our plugins, our images, everything like that. It's going to download. It takes a long time. You know, our site's a couple gigabytes, so it takes a while to download. So I'm not going to do it in the video, but I'll show you that I have already downloaded it, and it's in my downloads folder. It's here called Backup Team Tutorials and Today's Date, and I've extracted that after it downloaded, so I have this folder here. The next thing you're going to want to do is scroll down here to where it says download a MySQL database backup. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take note of the name of your WordPress database here. In my case, it's teamc4_WRDP1. And I'm going to keep that for later. And then what you're going to do is you're going to click this and you're going to download the SQL too. You'll get another gzip file with your SQL folder or your SQL file. So what I'm going to do right now is just extract that. So now I have a .SQL file. So that's all we need to do really to get all the data from our website. The next step is importing the files into MAMP. So since we extracted our website file backup already, and I have this backup folder for team tutorials, I'm going to go in there. What I'm looking for in here is this public HTML directory. This contains everything I have for my website and my WordPress installation. So what I'm going to do is go into that directory, highlight everything, copy it. I'm going to paste it into my site directory. Now this is that directory that we set as the website root in MAMP. So we're going to copy everything from our download into the root directory for MAMP. And then that will finish. We will go back to our MAMP homepage here. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a database to import our SQL export. So what we're going to do is go up here to Tools, PHP My Admin. Now, PHP My Admin, it's a PHP based tool that's made to manage MySQL databases. It's been around for a long time. Has a lot of features. A lot of people use it. It's pretty full featured and functional. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to the top here where it says databases. I'm going to click that, and I am going to create a new database. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to get my database name. I'm going to copy that, paste it in here. I'm going to leave this default, and I'm going to create a database. Now, as you can see on the left-hand side here, it created my new database, and on the right, it's telling me there's no tables found, which is okay. We just created an empty database. That's all we wanted to do for that step of the tutorial. Now, the next step is to import our SQL into our newly created database, which will import all our posts and all our settings for WordPress. And to do that, I'm going to be using the SQL Pro application on Mac. And like I said, you could do this with the SQL or with Heidi SQL on Windows in a similar manner. So I'm going to open SQL Pro. As you can see here, it's asking me for some information. I'm going to go to MAMP, and I'm going to go to the home page. If I scroll down a little bit, MAMP is going to give me the information I need here. For host, it's going to say localhost, but for SQL Pro, it wants the IP address, so I'm going to give it 127.0.0.1, which is your loopback address. And it's going to say I want the username, it's root. I want the password, it's root. And I want a database, which I'm going to skip, and a port, which is 8889. So we're going to enter all that information that we got from the MAMP homepage, and we're going to connect. Now that we're connected, we can hit this drop down. We can pick our new database, our Team C4 WRDP1, or whatever your database would be called. And you can see we have an empty database here, and we are ready to import our data from our live production website. So what I'll do in SQL Pro is I will go up to File, Open, and then I'll pick my SQL file and I will open that. Now it's going to give me a warning that the file is large, so I'm going to say, okay, I want to import that, but I'm not going to click OK. I'm going to click the import button. And what that will do is it will automatically run the SQL, and it will generate all your tables that you need for your WordPress installation. So if you're in Heidi SQL, I don't know how that functionality works. What you may have to do is you may have to open the SQL file, and then on the query tab, you might have to run the entire file, and then it'll do the same thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to let this file import, and it's going to take a little while. So I'm going to let it go, and I'm going to switch over to my sites directory. So this is my web root, right? And what we're going to do is we're looking for the wp-config.php, and we're going to edit that. And what you'll have here is this will be your production database information. So your database name won't change. We made the same database. You'll have your production username, which will change to root, and your production password, which will change to root. And that's all you have to change in this file. You go ahead and save it and close it. And now at this point, our SQL should be about done importing. So once we get that done, we'll just make a small change within the database to set up our local environment, and we should be ready to go. So check out the WP options table here on the left-hand side. This keeps track of all your information for your WordPress installation. Don't try to email me at this email address. It doesn't work. So don't spam me. It's not going to work. Anyway, we're going to change this to our MAMP URL, which is going to be, in our case, localhost :8888, since we left our default port. If you changed it to port 80, you're going to want to just put localhost, no port. And we'll go ahead and save that. I'll click off so it'll save. After that, we should be able to go ahead and launch our development site. If we go back to the MAMP homepage, it'll say My Website, and go ahead and click on that, and it'll launch your localhost. Now, if you take a look at my site, it's obviously broken. Doesn't look like our website. What I found was that there's a problem with the child theme on the local development site, so I'm going to have to take a look at that later, but for now, I'll just show you what to do. So you can go ahead and go to WP admin and log in. We will log in as me, and I'll have to get my password from my production environment. So yeah, same username, same password as your production WordPress environment. We're going to go ahead and log in. As you can see, you have your full WordPress backup. Everything that you had in production at the time of the backup is here. Everything that wasn't updated is not updated, things like that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and show you that theme problem. As you can see, I have a child theme here that I use just to change the colors and things like that. I'm just going to go ahead and switch back to the 2015 theme. It's an older theme, but I just kind of like how simple it is. So that's what we're using right now. But if I go back to my MAMP overview, or not my MAMP overview, if I go back to my development site now, it should look more like a WordPress site. So as you can see, it's working. It doesn't look exactly like my production environment because I have a problem with the child theme, but hopefully in your environment, it worked out right, and you should have everything you need here set up to do some local development and test out some things so that you don't break your production environment with changes and things like that. So go ahead, mess around, install plugins, create your own custom themes, custom plugins, things like that, and you can do that without fear of breaking your production site. So hopefully this tutorial helps you out. If you have any questions, go ahead and either go to teamtutorials.com, check out the text tutorial and leave comments there, or go ahead and leave some comments on YouTube and we'll try to help you out. Thanks for watching.